Welcome to another episode of the Elevate Collection podcast. Y'all are always in for a treat. And I know I say that, but we just happen to come into contact with some incredible people. And this person we actually met at Art Basel last year, or I mean, before Art Basel, but when we really got to connect and see and be in his energy, his aura, the magic, all the things. Today we have Dorian Troy, an exquisite artist of the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It feels so good to be here. I am very excited. There's honestly no two people I'd be with for one of my first podcasts was during this tour. I've been waiting to get on this, we've been trying to find the right time, and I'm like, this is perfect timing because you all are so busy. I'm so busy, and so I'm just glad we get to have this conversation.
We're grateful that you want to spend time with us and do this. We love just connect. So we're grateful that you want to spend time.
Absolutely.
What a blessing. Well, before we get into it, let's tell our listeners a little bit about who you are. Dorian Troy is an Atlanta-based digital and visual artist who integrates Afrofuturism and Southern culture. His personal affinity for art has taken shape over time, from drawing comic books of Black superheroes with his best friend to creating intimate series as an adult. Art has always been his chosen outlet of expression to share his dreams with the world. Dorian Troy's work is inspired by his life and family experiences in Gullah, South, and his personal identity growing up Black and queer. As an artist, he creates pieces that connect the unconnected and provide a voice to the unheard. He hopes that his work inspires an emotion that sparks a change in how we view society and ourselves to one of truth, positivity, and love.
That's all true.
We believe you and we get to experience you. So we know it's true.
Yeah.
But for those that are experiencing you through the frequency of the airwaves, if you're listening to us, if you're watching us, that get to at least witness this energy that is Dorian. Can you tell everyone how we got here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with and Dora, thank you for reading the bio so beautifully. For me, getting to where I am today, I've been an artist my entire life, and my father was very artistic. My mother, not so much. She's a scientist. We'll let her deal with that. But for me, it was always an escape for me. Just kind of growing up, I was a child of divorce and things like that. And I always wanted to create my own worlds. And so I did that through artwork. I was drawing, I was sketching, I was kind of creating these worlds, and I would create stories along with them. And that really built over time into actually building a business out of it. So in 2021, during the pandemic, I wanted to create an art collection. And through that, I wanted to create a business and really take my art more seriously to connect with people and to build what I hope to become an art empire that, not only builds art for people, but also brings people into the art world. And that's always why I point out that connecting and connected. And then from there, things just shot off. I did my first print collection when I launched my business in 2021. By 2023, I had moved to Atlanta. I was reaching out to galleries. I didn't get into a couple of them, so I did my own gallery show, brought people to that, went on tour, met you all at Art Basel. And then from there, it's now starting my second tour in cities that I'd never been frequented before. And, recently connected with Shirley Ralph and gave her a piece. And so to go from where I started to now, it's just been a beautiful journey. And I just believe in yourself. It's something that we've talked so much about, like believe in yourself and connect with people who believe in themselves so that you can continue to be inspired and kind of like shoot forward, because you're the only one who's stopping you from getting to where you need to be.
You're your own worst enemy, Austin. And so getting through that is huge. I want to point out something that you said that is so, I think, monumental in the success of entrepreneurs, specifically entrepreneurs of color.
Yeah.
You said you built your own table.
Yeah.
You created the opportunity. You tried to get in their way, try to do it, the way that the system, the stereotypical structure says that you're supposed to get into the space.
Yeah.
And so you built your own table. Can you walk me through the emotional part of what appears as rejection?
Yeah.
Appears, that I'm very visual using that word, it appears as rejection, to the then redirection of let me build this table myself.
Absolutely. So, and I love you said appears as rejection, because to me, like the rejection we see is physical, right? Like it's in the material world, it's something, it's a decision that someone made, right? But, it's really just, and this might be corny, an elevation, right? Into where you're supposed to be. And like I said, a redirection, because something else is happening spiritually and something else is redirecting you into a different pathway. And so for me, I moved to Atlanta with big dreams. I was in DC for about 5 years. I was in a circumstance where I had to move home, and I was trying to figure out what is next? Where am I gonna go? And something about Atlanta just spoke to me. And so I ended up moving down here, and I was just going to different kind of gallery shows and things like that and presenting my artwork, and hey, I'm a digital artist and I gotta do this. And, I would see some interest, but then I would never get once I'd send an email, I would never get a call back. And so, I was a little disappointed at first, but I already was in a new area. And when you go to a new area, like some of us, we get that drive. Like, it's like, okay, like I'm gonna just kind of keep going. And I remember meeting, there was this, a studio owner, black woman, her name is Cairo, and she had U Studio down on, David Abernathy. And I remember looking at the fee to rent the space, and I was like, oh, I can pay that. And so I rented it, and I said, I'm going to just create my pieces for my collection, and I'm going to put it in this gallery. And this is a collection I was working on since 2020. And so me taking those 3 years to, create that, or 4 years, it's 2024, and then, do my own show, it just all really came together. And it was about believing in myself, and it was about utilizing my own community, my own resources. I invited every one of my family and friends to come to the show, and everybody came. And the one thing I heard from that was that, that stuck with me was, Dorian, I never thought I would go to an art show. And to hear that from people who, whether because of access or just because they don't see art as something that is for them, it made me feel good to say, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this, and now I need to share it with more people, because that's what it's about. That's what you all do.
I, I can't deal with today. We have been podcasting all day, y'all, and it's been such a gift. So thank you for that. Um, can you walk through the also I know I'm picking apart of things that you're saying, but
Yeah.
I just feel like there's just some nuggets in there that I know that you can help somebody with that is listening to this episode. You said that you figured like, okay, I can afford that. Like, I can make that happen. I can do that. But then you talked about an attendee that said, I never thought I would go to an art show.
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from? Do you think that comes from, and if either one of these answers, of course, aren't it, but in my mind, does one of them come from a lack of awareness? Does it come from like lack of accessibility, or like the thought process around what is accessible?
Yeah.
Or does it come from a lack of cultural appreciation given the specific genre of
Yeah.
your art?
I think it's all three of those things. I want to dive into two of those. So one, like the cultural appreciation mixed with brand, right? So I think the art world doesn't always have the best brand, and so it can look stuffy. It can look it can look and appear inaccessible. Sometimes it is, but there's a lot of free museums, especially art museums, right? But people don't look at that as something that they want to do or should be a part of, or if they do, they just don't take the time to do it. So that's number one. So I think me being someone who's very community driven, and it has the brand as someone who has a good time, enjoys themselves, connects people, it felt like it could become accessible. That's one. But I think two, I think completely right, is in that there is an accessibility issue in general to the art world, because when it comes to uh high profile exhibitions, or if you look at high profile artists, some of those things are very expensive. Buying art can be very expensive. And so when I talk to friends about collecting art, I'm like, well, that's why you should support local artists who are in the beginning of their careers, because one, you can actually have access to larger pieces because they're selling at usually a lower rate when they start, right? But then that's going to build over time, and it's going to mean something. And as an artist, I always said, I don't want to wait till I pass for my art to make money for my family or my community or the generations to come. I wanted to do that now so I can build on that and capitalize on that. So that's why I'm so big on making sure that people support art, and not just my own, but I highlight other artists all the time because we're all different. And people don't buy art for the art. They buy art a lot of times for the artist, and they want to have a piece from that artist. Sometimes don't care what it is. And so all of that, just understanding, and I'm learning as I go, and I'm open about that. Like, I don't know everything about the art world. I went to art school. I went to North Carolina A&T Aggie Pride. I was gonna shout out my Aggies.
Aggie Pride.
And I didn't go to art school, so I didn't know the ins and outs. Everything I'm learning is on the fly, and it makes it sometimes more difficult, but it also makes it sometimes more fun because I can be innovative. Because ignorance is bliss sometimes, and you have to figure out as you go.
I think as a consumer, you're spot on. And I think these fears and concerns transcend races, culture, and religion, all of them, because even from very different demographics, I think the fear of rejection is innate in us. And to me, it's personal, right? Like, I do love you as an artist and care about you, and I adore your work. But there is something very intimate and personal about being like, how much is this art piece? And then being able to be like, oh, I actually can't afford that. And then having to tell an artist that, like, I can't afford that. There's something really scary as a consumer that feel like, I never want to devalue your work.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, $1,400, like, that's a lot," you know? I think it's something that we don't talk about enough. Like, I would never wanna tell an artist, like, "Oh, sorry, that's too much," because like, you're totally worth it. But I think there's fear around that in the consumers. Like, I think a lot of people don't ask because
Yeah.
they're afraid of the price, or they're afraid of saying no, or they're afraid of the pressure of, like, if I ask you, like, then I need to pay for it. Does that make sense?
No, I completely get that. And I represent that at my shows because so my first tour last year, I didn't sell any pieces on purpose. Like, nothing was for sale, it was all to showcase. And because I didn't want anyone to have that fear, right? Of being like, well, I'm not going to go because I don't want there to be an expectation that I buy something. Because that is often when we go to events, that is somewhat of an expectation, right? And I feel that, for me, it's important to build just that rapport with people to know, like, no, I'm just creating a space for you all to come in and enjoy art. This time around, I am selling pieces because I'm saying this is a business, and the only way that my art is going to make more money is to sell pieces. And on this art tour, I have had people who end up buying them or who I said was lowballing. And I think one thing that's been interesting to me is finding out, like, how to price. And like, it is such a weird, I get very funny about money. Like, I'm he said, want to charge people for things, especially friends and stuff. Cause I'm like, oh, like, it's my friend. Like, oh, all right, I used to do gorgeous stuff. And I'm like, oh, I could have made, a little buck off of that. But, as you grow, you start to realize you set the tone. And also, if I set a price for a piece, it lets some people know, oh, like, I'm going to buy it today, but I want to buy a piece one day. And some people aspire and they tell me, they're like, oh, like, I don't want to buy a piece from you one day. So, I'm going to continue to work or invest, and not just to buy stuff from people, but just in general. Like, they're like, I want to be able to do that. And so I think it's important to set the price and set your price. But I also think it's important to create ways for everyone to still be involved. Like, that's why I do prints, because I'm like, we can get a print that's, maybe $100 compared to a piece that's like 1,800. So it's so many ways to do it. And I think there's a way to do it ethically and openly that isn't just hitting people over the head.
It's such a common thread in business, though, no matter what industry that you're in. Like, as we're building, we're pricing. Like, how do you put a price on your value? It's scary. You're like, oh, it's too much. Oh, it's too little, and then you change it, and then you really have to recognize, like, the value of your time and what you are building and what your goals and dreams are.
Yeah, and your value of your time can change. And I think that's like the one thing that's been hard for me is like, I thought once I set something that has to be not even just price, but just like standards, right? Or like what I would do. And one day you might be feeling good and you're like, oh, I can do this for free, or I can do this, not for free, but I can just extend myself and do this job or whatever. And the next day you might not be able to do the same thing for someone else, and that is okay. And I think, we put so much pressure on ourselves as business owners to be perfect all the time and, like, again, set that standard and, like, get that be it. But I think allowing flexibility into your life, even though it's easier said than done, it can make things a lot easier because there's less pressure to be like, well, this is the only way I can go.
I love that. We're new to the art world, but we love it here.
Yeah, I mean, y'all brought me higher to the art world, so I appreciate it.
Listen, some opportunities are just meant to be on your path. Like, We joked around about Art Basel, like, early in the year last year. Well, it was a joke. We'd never been to Art Basel. I'd never been to Miami at all. I'd never even stepped foot into Miami, and then we got the opportunity, um, to host a space 2 weeks prior to the event, and then so we, like, started building it, and we're, like, frantic, right? And then that space revoked access because they said, they didn't think our demographic was actually correct for them. And so
Wow.
we were like, "Okay, maybe this isn't right." And then another space came to us.
That was the second space?
Yeah.
In a while? Yes.
That was the second space, and thank God for our great friend Nick Green. Nick Green is
Shout out to you, Nikki boy, Nikki G.
we couldn't do it without you, Nick. Just really an incredible connector who believes in us and is like, "Hey, I think you guys could do this." And so we put that together in 2 weeks. And, like, the fact that we did that and we got to meet you, like, I feel like some things are just meant to be on your path.
I mean, completely. I remember when y'all told me like later on that you booked it to me, and I was like, there's no way. Like that was an amazing, fantastic event. Like it just, again, the way that everything connects is super amazing. And the only reason that I was able to come to Art Basel was because I went to a Friendsgiving and my friend asked me to do a live painting, like joking. And hey, just do some live painting. I've never done live painting, like since college. Like it was like one time, yeah, one time in college, like, cause I do almost more work is digital now. So I don't paint a lot, like even like physically as often. And it's something I want to get back into. But yeah, I did that live painting and Brandon, who's friends with Jeff Ron, he saw it and he said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you." And Lodi, I said, "Tell me." He called me. I said, "Oh, absolutely. I'm down." Booked the flight, booked the hotel, and then got there. And I'm like,
Like us.
it was something in me that said, whatever comes up, go for it. And when I did it, just the alignment, and I think Jordan, we went first.
We did.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm here from Atlanta." You're from Atlanta. I was like, "Oh my god!" Just from there, we literally ended up coming back, having Thai food, and
Good time.
just friends forever. And I'm like, that is then the brand alignment.
Ugh, it is, and I think it really speaks to who you are as a human, though, because that moment that we met was incredibly chaotic, and we were such a place of peace for me, and you were like, "Hey, I'm here, I'm an artist, I'll set up wherever you want me to, how can I help you?" And I'm like, "How does this easel work?" I'm like, "I'm trying to put together these easels, I've never done anything in art, like, help me," and you're like, "Hey, I've got it." And then all night, you just sat there doing your chalk painting, and it was absolutely incredible, like, I just remember looking over, and you would just smile, and, it was just a sight to see, like, so thank you for your calm presence in creating inviting spaces and communities.
Thank you. I mean, and that's what it's all about. And I will say, like, one thing that I want to share, like, with people is, yes, you have to be talented, but you also just have to be good. And I think people forget that because they think it gets wrapped up in the business and the opportunities and things like that. And a lot of people lose their way. And I've lost my way before. And like you always have to like go back to who you are. Because that is what people connect with. And I appreciate being a connector. I know you both are connectors. And I think that if you're gonna really make it in this world, like we have to have that humanity. You have to have a connected spirit because there's going to be a time where you're going to need someone. There's going to be a time where someone's going to need you. And either way, you have to find a way to make that happen and be available when the time comes.
I love that. You are someone who is going all in on your art. I'm curious, with your art, is there a certain impression or impact that you desire to make with what you're putting out into the world?
Ooh, that's so good. So I always, when I really was coming up with my, like who I wanted to be as an artist, once I really was becoming a professional artist was, I want to make the comfortable uncomfortable. And I want to make sure that the unheard are heard. And I say that because I feel like in life, especially nowadays, everything has to be palatable. Everything has to be acceptable and aesthetically pleasing. And I want to be the reverse of that. And not just to be a contrarian, but I feel like true art has to make you feel something. And uncomfortability doesn't mean like pain. It could just mean like love is uncomfortable. Like hope can be uncomfortable. But I want people to feel these things. And so as an artist, that's what I also want art to convey. And the reason why I'm an Afrofuturist artist specifically is because we've been in a space for centuries where Black people don't always see themselves represented in the future. And so I wanted to create work that did that, whether that be for Black men, Black women, Black queer folk. And that is why it's so important for me to paint from that perspective and to create those pieces, because we all should see ourselves in the future. And when people see my work, I want them to see that. So that is really where it comes from. And I hope that I do that.
I love that. This is probably gonna be a little bit of a to other everybody. I don't care if it's controversial because like that TikTok trend, like, I'd rather eat a 5 by 7 row than not be authentic to myself. But the question surrounding your specific genre of art, of course, with the intentionality that you have behind it, what are your thoughts on the comment, especially when you're talking about Black folks seeing themselves, like, in the future, in futuristic art, when people use the term, "I don't see color."
I I understand. So as a person, let me know, I am someone who always says I can understand why someone says or believes something. It doesn't mean I agree with it, but like I get where you're coming from. Like I think it's impossible to do that. I truly do. Like I think it's almost impossible to see socioeconomic status. Like I think these are all things that they have imprints on who we are as people. You can look at someone and say, "Oh, your hair is curly." Now I think about something about that, right? Or your hair is wavy, or "Oh, you were wearing black today," and someone's gonna have an inference on why you're wearing black. Like there's always a or a bias. Like it doesn't even matter about race. It's people have a bias about anything because we're such an aesthetic based culture. And so for no, like I don't agree with that like at all. And that's why I do what I do, because you're gonna see this Black ass art. Can I press on this?
Silly, but that I was curious about that because that's exactly what was my mindset because, it's the same mindset of when, folks will be like I use the example not about the organization or anything, but, like, the commentary around, like, Black Lives Matter, right? That, "Well, all lives matter." I never said all lives didn't matter.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the current position and emphasizing because of, I can go on a tangent there, so we won't. But that, to me, is the equivalent of saying, like, "Oh, I went and did the breast cancer walk." "Well, why didn't you do the MS walk?"
Yeah.
I didn't say like, I didn't support MS. This is just what I am currently advocating for.
Yeah.
This is what I'm currently connected to that I
Mhm.
have become, more attached to whatever it is.
Right.
I think it's the same exact thing.
Absolutely. And I think there's space for all of it. And that's why I'm saying, like, I'm going to be a Black artist through and through. I'm gonna be a queer artist through and through. And that was harder for me than painting Black art, because painting Black art is like there's Black art out there, right? But even within my own community, there's uncomfortability with queer representation and queer art. There's uncomfortability with nudity. Like I have pieces that have female nudity in it, male nudity. And so it's like I going back to I want to make the comfortable uncomfortable. It's like, and my art may not be for you, but it's going to be here, and you should question why it's not for you. And that doesn't have to be,
It's provocative.
yeah, and that doesn't have to be and it doesn't have to be a thing, right? It doesn't be like a big deal. Like I don't think everything's for everyone, but you should ask yourself why. There's things that I'm uncomfortable with, and I have to ask myself why all the time.
Same.
Why? Like, why do I feel something shift to me when I see this thing? And then once you do that, once you ask that question, then you can unpack and decide, is that because of past trauma? Is it because of the media or something you see today? It's because of how you were raised. And then you can decide, okay, do I want to change that and shift that? Or am I okay with that and I want to keep that packaged up? Because everybody's not ready to.
It's just everyone to let them, like,
Yeah, let them. And I think for me, like, I will always be an artist who speaks truth. And there are times where even I am afraid to put something out because of how it'll be received. Like I am terrified of going viral. Like I always say that I do not want it to happen. I'm a very social person, but not social media. Like it is because of, again, how people interpret things. But that is the risk you take as a creative. You're supposed to put it out there and let people react to it. And it is up to them to decide how that makes them feel.
We are based in Atlanta. So Afrofuturistic art is probably accepted much differently here than some of the other cities on these tours. Have you experienced that at all?
Funny enough, I had I would say I think it was accepted everywhere. So I'll say the biggest one that was like "Oh, how's this gonna go?" was my hometown, Raleigh, North Carolina. They're showing Durham, which is right next door. And so all my family came, and again, I got some nudity in the photo, and I was like, "Oh, how's it gonna feel?" I painted something uh, that represented my father and my grandparents. My grandparents had, they're both deceased, but they had, both mental illness, you know, alcoholism. They faced different things like that. And I made a painting about it, and it was my kind of like archival piece, like the premier piece from that collection. And my dad, my birth father came, and who was my namesake, Dorian Troy. My dad's name is Troy. And he came to the show and he saw the piece, and I had to explain what that piece was about to him there. And that was one of the scariest things I've ever had to do because I love my father. We haven't had the closest relationship growing up, but I wanted him to get the healing because that piece was dedicated to him and his parents. And so for me, that was scary than going to LA and people who some people I've never met seeing my work because this is someone who is literally my father's known me since I was, born. So that was probably the hardest. Everywhere else, I've gotten a lot of great reception and a lot of great um, feedback from people saying, "I did not know you could do that. Like, I didn't know you could paint things digitally and then like print them on canvas and bring them to life." And like that is what I always wanted because one of the reasons why I wasn't getting into some shows is because my art is digital work. And I think that in the fine art world, there are people who don't see digital art as fine art. And one of my missions is to prove that it is. So that I've been getting great reception so far. I'm excited to see, they're obviously usually the right person to because they're the only one. And I'm gonna hit that one.
My delete's not right here. What new goals do you have for the future?
So I'm in the middle of my the second leg of my tour for Beyonce. We were all at the show last night. And uh, so I have a Houston show in 2 weeks, and then I have my last show in Charlotte, which is actually dedicated to my grandmother who I lost 2 months ago. Inspires. This is a thank you. But being able to do that for her because she never got to see a show, like it brings me joy. And so that's my biggest goal was like to make sure that that Charlotte show, all my family is coming, friends who are local, to that. That's gonna be like the big finale to this whole collection that I'm excited about. I'm excited about hopefully in December we have something great coming up. Art Basel. And I know next year's gonna be I know end of this year's gonna be really good, but I know next year there's gonna be something really big that happened. I don't know what it is yet. I feel it. And I know I'm on a trajectory to where I'm gonna do something I can't look back from. And I'm just praying to be in the right space so that I can have it started to make that decision. But a dream I have is doing a residency. I want to do a arts residency over either in I would love to study in Italy, or study in Mexico City, which I love. It's an amazing art city. Because again, I didn't go to art school, so I've been looking into residency programs because I think getting away and just diving into culture and letting it inspire my art for like 3, 6 months would be amazing. So that's something I really want to do.
I love that. Well, that's one want. If there is anything that our listeners or community, anyone we're connected to, anyone that is under the sound of our voices or on the other side of watching this video podcast, what would your one big ask be? What is one thing that you could, not even one, what are the things
Yeah.
that you could ask for that you believe would move your needle forward?
Yeah. So I have three things that always I am always asking for is like my call to action to people who want to support the arts. So one, definitely follow artists online, like following us really and interacting and engaging with what we post. It really helps propel us forward. So for me, and Dorian Troy Studios on Instagram is the best platform to follow me on. I'm always posting about my work, about my shows, on my tour. I'm going to be able to see all of that. So follow me there. The second is investing in artists. And so I have prints available online for my current collection. They're available at www.doriantroystudios.com. You can go there. You can see the prints that are available. You can buy them there. I sign all of them. They're limited edition, so there's only a specific amount that I release, which is another important thing for me as an artist is to um, let people be special, with what they have, but again, still doing it at a price that is affordable. And then lastly, um, connect me. That is the biggest thing. I'm always looking for new opportunities to meet other artists, meet people who are in the art space, art enthusiasts. That is always a great opportunity. That's how I met these two wonderful ladies. I'm always looking for new opportunities to do that. And so connect me with people in the art world, connect me with people who you believe support the arts, so that we can continue to kind of grow this kind of art movement and mission that we have specifically for Black artists and queer artists. And then lastly, just support your local arts programs. The arts are under siege. They've been under siege since I was in school, where they're trying to cancel art programs and not invest in the arts. So support them in any way you can.
I love that. We're so glad that you're here. Before you go, we'd love to know, how are you elevating your frequency to stay inspired as you create this incredible art? What do you currently have on repeat?
So on repeat right now, there's this amazing song called Ooh La La. It is by Kate Trinata and Justine Sky. It is like house music. It is just like a vibe. I play it when I'm like working out. I play it when I'm doing my artwork. Like that is really traveling right now. And also it's on repeat, the new Clips album, like Shout with Bushhead and Malice, like they hit it out the park. I love it. I was playing it on the way here and I was like, no little brother see love it because it was so good.
I love it. And like, I had this like bodily urge to go, yo, push you. I put you on my team.
It's so good. So yeah, I'll stream it.
Got you.
We'll be adding it to the Elevate Your Frequency playlist so you can follow along and elevate your frequency at home. Dorian, thank you so much for joining us and thank you for sharing your art with the world. And we can't wait to see you achieve all those goals that you have set.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to helping you all out as you continue to grow as well, because I love seeing what you all do. It really does inspire me.
Dorian's art is beautiful. We'll place all the links and all the things in the show notes so you can do that. You'll see it all on socials, all the things, but his art hangs in our homes too. And we were so blessed to be gifted to experience his art. And I promise you, his art radiates an energy that you cannot explain. So make sure you grab yourself a great piece so you can feel special too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.